Stick on just in case.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to DigitalPNA. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen really quickly. I guess repeat that. Welcome once again. My name is Brian Trendler. I am the president of this year. I'm going to take that down because no one needs to see that, but that's my big mugshot. Currently, we're short a few people today, but that's okay because life happens. But these are our members. I'm still hoping to have a guest, Amy. I texted her. Maybe she will show. But as always, when dealing with senior citizens, they might be putting out a, well, I don't want to say putting out a fire in that case. That's just a horrible thought. I'm going to move on. I do want to encourage folks, though, to invite people to DigitalPNA. And the reason why is not only because we're cool and pretty, but I pay you. If they submit a membership and join, list you as a sponsorship, I like to be generous, and I'd love the problem of having to give away money. So that's that complete thought. Brought to you by Brian. Welcome. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. We need to get some volunteers today. We got a short list of members, so everyone needs to grab a role. I will be timer, though, so I'm snagging that one. Mike, can I have you be the doodler? Because you had so much fun one time, and I still use that picture.
Yes, I'd love to be the doodler.
Fantastic. And you're already stuck in a hamster cube, so what else are you going to do?
Right, exactly right.
I'll be the tracker.
Okay, tracker is Marcel. Rosie, actually, you're off the hook because you're speaking today. So Marcel, can you just dual role and be a photographer as well? Snag a photo or two. Fantastic. Okay, so excellent. Got that taken care of. We're going to move into the commercials. You all know how to do this. Marcel, I want to actually put you on the spot and take a moment and talk about the original moment when you busted into my office and said, darn it, Brian, let's create this thing online that covers the whole state because I want more exposure and to help with syndication and digital videos, et cetera, et cetera. That's where we're trying to slowly turn our focus back more, is the digital component of DigitalPNA. Can you expand on that very quickly, Marcel? Because I'd like to see us try to work some of that into our commercials today.
Yeah, sure. So just this idea that if you bring, a link of some sort, blog post, publication, video, podcast, we want to help you move that around the internet. Because I know my network has a certain reach, but if other people start sharing my content, that boosts that, and we all need that, whether we've got content or not. And then we can also have a feedback loop saying, hey, Marcel, that video was kind of crappy. Why don't you try this, this, or this? Granted, we won't be that direct, but like, I want feedback on my videos or my publications, right? So it's not just to move it around, but it's to help elevate the quality of content that we're producing, to have some feedback. So we want to know what's your recent video or podcast, or weave that into your commercial perhaps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so oops, I'm not gonna she's glad this is being recorded. I just let actually Rosie let the cats out of the bag. She's been attacked like 3 times by cats on this call so far. Let's go ahead and just go into the commercials. Then I'm going to kill this share screen because I'd much rather see your bobbleheads. Commercial, Rosie, you're presenting. So give us your commercial. We promise to forget everything you've said.
Okay. Hi, Rosie with TAP Services. And what we do at TAP is actually provide financial bookkeeping services and tax service on top of that. So what puts us apart, what I like to say, is that I have a lot of knowledge in I would say, a lot of different industries. So some of my clients are restaurants, some of them are therapists, and others are retail stores. I love clients for e-commerce. So Mike, I know you were mentioning someone, if she needs a bookkeeper, give her my number because I'm very good at Amazon. So, but yeah, I will save the rest for the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you. Mike, let's hear from you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rosie. Yes, absolutely. E-commerce, I will put you in touch. My name is Mike. I am with the Puget Sound Business Journal, but still have a great deal of friends and well, Brian, I've forgotten. Brian has admonished me for talking about the previous company. But suffice to say, if you have questions, just let me know. The thing about the Business Journal that I love is that it while a larger company with lots of resources, and as Marcel mentioned in a couple meetings ago, the opportunity to sort of pull from a data set of different scenarios across the nation and use that to inform problem solving. The Business Journal is also eager to build new things, and it has that startup-esque atmosphere. For example, I've been talking to the publisher here and the director of advertising about a new product called Community Spotlight that will allow for those communities outside downtown Seattle to have a holistic and cohesive presentation, 8 or 10 pages in the publication, multiple pages online, focused on Snohomish, focused on Mill Creek, focused on Moses Lake, a way for us to be able to provide access to small and medium-sized businesses geographically separate from downtown Seattle, the ability to reach the audience, to drive new investment in those businesses and those communities. It's at the beginning phase. So as Marcel was talking about the origin story of you know, how DigitalPNA came to be, we're at the origin story of Community Spotlight. I would love for you guys to sort of think what would work in your communities, geographic typically. What you'd like to see as a vehicle to get your communities bona fides or information out to the business community of the Puget Sound.
Wow.
And I'm open to it's completely in the invention space right now.
Hell of an ask. I love that.
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to share with you, Mike, right now. Oh, okay. Thank you for that, Mike. Marcel, let's hear from you and then I'll go.
Yeah, that's great. Very exciting. So Dreamosity is coming up on 15 years, and I'm really excited to share about that. Many of you know, but I lead marketers who are struggling to compete in a busy marketplace or Facebook groups, help them stand out with their digital assets. Does their content lead people to click or to call or to have a conversation? Because a lot of people still, it's a little bit overwhelming for people out there, and I'm trying to make it easier and more approachable to get good at sales and marketing and then have financial joy, because to me, great sales and marketing leads to enough cash flow and revenue where you can have ease in your team building and growth and objectives and whatever may come next. So if you know anybody that's struggling with this digital overwhelm, I would love to have a consult with them or even do a data art demo and show them how quickly we could create a sphere of influence for them to start marketing in. Marcel with Dreamosity.
Love that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Brian Trendler. I co-own Laugh Tech with Marcel Allen. We are very proud to also have just passed a marker, which was this past December. It was 10 years in business. Couldn't tell if you were looking at us rowdy teenagers. Anyway, we help people just literally become better at what they're already doing great. We work with folks of a myriad of different experience levels. It doesn't matter how good of a public speaker you are or a presenter or how bad you think you are or even how great you are, because we've worked with people that travel the country, already get paid a lot of money, but God, they're boring as sticks. And when you realize that, you realize there's potential in expanding your speech skill set to a whole new level and actually to reach a whole different audience. Because Marcel taught me a saying, I don't remember where she got it from, it doesn't matter, but if they laugh or cry, they buy. And we've proven that time and time again, whether it's because of what we've done in front of a potential client to then get them to invest in themselves and our business, or they've turned around and they've delivered messages that have gotten an entire group of people to get in their shoes and experience what they've experienced from a sensation perspective and beyond. So we love doing what we do. And if you know people that want to work on their skill sets, whether that's just in a one-to-one scenario or one-to-many, we love that type of opportunity because there's so many opportunities. We use the hashtag humor heals for a reason, as well as a number of other ones because we're so scientific-ish, but we can enact change in as quickly as one engagement session with a client. We do it every time and we'd love more. So look for boring people. Think Laugh Tech. Thank you. Okay, so really quickly, I got to go back to the shared screen. I'm looking forward to this, mainly because I'm a big goofball. But Marcel and I often talk about this stuff before the meeting to make sure that we're either on the same page or not, but she doesn't know what's happening here. This is a tangent. I want us to jump back and take a look at this tangent. And we're going to go back around the proverbial room here and talk about, what did you want to be when you grew up? And how closely to that dream did you land? Or is it completely different? So just take a second and think about that. Seconds up. I'm going to take this off the screen again because I want to see everyone's lovely faces, even mine. And let's hear from Rosie. Tell us if you had something in mind, if you had a big plan, and how closely did you land to it?
So when I was a kid, I would say when I was really young, initially there was two things that I actually focused on. I love singing, and the other one is I wanted to be a teacher. And I think it was because I admired all my teachers in grade school and stuff like that. But as far as landing closely, singing, no, way off, but teaching, I feel like with the business that I do, I still kind of teach a lot of clients because they have no idea what they're doing or what they're looking at. So I feel like in a weird way, it's kind of gone like full circle in a sense. It might not be teaching in schools, but it still is teaching just in my own business. So, yeah.
Okay. I love that. Thank you for that. Mike, let's hear.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I enjoyed, as a teenager, the idea of copywriting or writing. Probably it started off, less business writing, and then sort of grew into copywriting and writing. But I think I enjoyed that because I used to love magazines. This was a big thing for me. We would get Time magazine. My dad would collect Mad magazine. I would get National Lampoon magazine. There used to be a science fiction magazine called Omni magazine that I would get. I just loved magazines, and I associated magazines with communication, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I enjoyed the creative aspect of writing. That led me to working in developing a magazine in the travel industry, and then working for the Seattle Times and Seattle Met Magazine, now Puget Sound Business Journal. It hasn't, while I did some copywriting and enjoy that, that's not been how I've applied that interest. It's been more around communicating to get other people, other companies engaged in helping get a magazine out the door. So I think that there's a through line there, not exact on its touch point with the copywriting and the construction of content, but I will say I do a lot of that when I am reaching out to generate interest in sales. I still get a lot of satisfaction out of a well-turned phrase or a well-constructed email, but I think the through line is publications.
Cool.
I love hearing that.
Absolutely.
That's really neat. So for me, I wanted to be an inventor or an artist. And now with this energy combination of data art, I feel like I get to do a little bit of inventing and or rethinking something, which I enjoy thoroughly, to kind of design or create or originate, just to even this, if you look at the artwork behind me, it's just, watercolored circles. But what if you were to write your top 10 Facebook groups in there, and all of a sudden you have, a sales territory, right? So there's different ways to look at things that can be interesting or useful for that creative visual mind who just doesn't want to just sit and type at the keyboard all day, but we actually want to play still. We want to, pick up a thing of color. So I'm still weaving these things in, I would say.
It's awesome. Okay, so my answer.
What about you?
I wanted to be Picasso when I grew up. And if you've ever studied deeply into Picasso, that brother was messed up. Most of them were. I mean, Van Gogh, he's mailing parts of himself to people. There was a lot of crazy back then, and thankfully I didn't. But I did go into college with the hope of a fine art and sculpture degree. And then I realized very quickly I wanted to not have to live in my in my parents' basement. So I sold out toward the end of my freshman year and bought my first Power Mac 6100, very first Mac of its kind that was powerful, and literally became a graphic designer almost overnight. Lost my scholarship because of it and everything else. But anyway, I always wanted to pursue something in the arts, and it very quickly became kind of like what Rosie said. It became something that was teaching and teachable, or I didn't like to be taught. I always fought every teacher I ever came across, but I also realized I was coaching and teaching throughout. So I think it's all morphed into what I am today, whether good or bad. Whether I'm teaching a design, teaching the value of networking in PNA Northwest, or from the LAVTech perspective, teaching people how to become better at what they're already doing great. It's maybe come full circle. It's the best answer I can give. Okay, thank you for that, everybody. I appreciate the input, and I just kind of like hearing everyone's answers. That's fantastic. Let me go back to the screen really quickly. Introduce none other than Rosie Stritzel, owner of TAP Services. She was around for a while, years ago, and then she disappeared. She ran off to California, turned down her business for a while, became part of the working crew, America, and then she's back. Years and years later, she appears, calls me out of the blue. Hi, it's Rosie. I'm like, back in my world like a little bulldog. It was fantastic, dragging and all. I'm sure she'll share something about that. But I'm looking very much forward to listening to your presentation today, Rosie, because I know you're just going to talk about you, talk about your business. So this is her information. We'll ask, or maybe I'll be kind enough to put this in the chat window as well for anyone to reach out to her after the fact. But Rosie, you've got 20 minutes. I will assume you're going to take as much time as you want. I'll give you the 10-minute warning with my background at the red. You have a few minutes to wrap up. We're short on people. Okay. You can probably go a little longer if you need to, but either way, here's Rosie, everybody.
Well, thank you. So first I want to give this a little bit of background. I know that Marcel and Brian know me and stuff like that, but another thing that I started getting into the accounting world I started getting more interested in high school. I went to a business meeting called Future Business Leaders of America back in, when I was 16, I think, 17, something like that. And then I saw somebody working in the office in a nice suit and everything else. And I said, oh, wow, that looks really cool. Like, I was really intrigued, and found out that I think he was either a CPA or basically in the finance field, and just was really attracted to that idea. And the fact that my parents come from a third world country with very little knowledge of what budgeting looks like and everything else, it kind of like ignited a fire, I guess, in a sense, when I was younger to start my own thing. What's interesting is, so I went to my 10-year reunion in high school. And back then, when you were a senior, they had you write down your goals of what you would achieve in the next, I think it was 7 years or 10 years. I think I reached all of them. And that included starting, like being in the accounting world and starting my own business. And people were just looking at me. I'm like, who are you? Like, and they're just going, some of them were like, well, I'm not surprised. And others are like, holy cow, how did you hit all your goals? And I said, I don't know. I don't even remember writing these down. But, I said, once I'm kind of like the way Brian describes, even though I didn't know the bulldog existed before, it was a sleeping bulldog, right? And then Marcel and Brian came along and they pulled it out of me. And so now it's, very apparent, in everything, my everyday life and, what I do and, how I talk to people. So I kind of say, like, I'm a bulldog, but I'm a gentle bulldog, if that makes any sense. I'm kind of like the soft fluffy, where I'm like a dripping, how do you say, like the oil that, greases the wheel? Like, you just keep tripping. And that's kind of how I'm like, I don't push, but I am a good reminder of why they need help. Yeah. And especially if they come back and say, oh my gosh, I don't understand this, or, you know, what's going on here. And that's where the teaching comes in. And, you know, a lot of times I will say, you know, even clients that leave, for example, you know, one is actually offboarding because they want to take it internal. And I said, okay, you know, I understand, that's fine. But I told them, I said, if you need somebody to still review your work or, you know, review it, I am here. And I said, reach out to me. You know, we don't have to do the retainers. We'll just do, you know, hourly fee of me reviewing the books. So they appreciated that because they're trying to take it internally, which I have a feeling they'll come back to me later anyways. After they realize, oh, geez, this is not as easy as I thought it could be. But it's that's kind of like the nutshell of my background, because I enjoy crunching numbers. I enjoy being in front of the computer. I enjoy meeting with people as well to share with them how they are doing so that they understand, you know, everything that their business is doing. Because a lot of times, like I said, they don't understand, right, how cash flow works, or, you know, how everything else works. And especially with, I will say this, with e-commerce people, a lot of people don't realize when you're in e-commerce, you can actually create what's called like a cash flow chart, because Shopify will tell you what sales are coming up, you know, or Amazon, like, you know, pending sales or pending, you know, incoming money. You can actually take that and put it into a cash flow chart and tell them, okay, this is how much you're going to get in the next week. So what bills would you like to pay the next week? So it kind of encompasses everything, you know, in the end. And one client that I had, well, I call him a client, was when I was in the working world, Nona Lim, who has prepared, does Southeast Asian prepared meals. So she makes like pad thai, pad see ew, and all that stuff, but sends it to anybody in, you know, in the US. And so I was actually the person that closed her books when I worked for a company. And she did certain things with products that, like, even a CPA on my team could not figure out how to break apart like the cost, because what she did is she got a package and she opened the box that was already supposed to be part of one assembly line, and then she created something new, which is called build your own. So she would pick and, you know, people can pick and choose what they wanted. And so we still had to close our books and record costs. So what I did was created a VLOOKUP table, took the cost of the original price, broke it up, broke it, and then the sales that are in Shopify and Amazon, I was able to depict which ones they were and get the accurate cost so that she actually had an accurate financial to look at in the end. And the CPA on my team kind of helped, but he didn't like get the full, you know, a full circle moment until I looked at it and I was just like, actually, let's do it this way. I think this will work. And I started playing with it, and then all of a sudden it started working, and they were just like, huh, wow, okay. But that's what I do. I like challenges, and I like especially e-commerce because I feel that it's a lot of bookkeepers don't know how to use e-commerce unless they've been trained, you know, by somebody. And so I took that essentially and came back, you know, to do my own business because I felt like I could provide like the missing link, and I say just in corporate America in general, in the accounting world, is the missing link is the customer service, right? Because on a team, when you have a team of people, sometimes it gets overwhelming for the client if there's too many hands in the pocket, you know, so to speak, because then they don't know who to go to. And, you know, and I saw that as a kind of like a a downward spiral because there was a lot of clients that left because they're like, this is too overwhelming. Like too many meetings, too many hands and everything else. So what I do at TAP Services and what I like to do is simplify it. Like I'm the main contact. I do have people that work, like my friend that came from El Salvador for a couple of weeks, and I trained her just to do the basic data entry, but I'm the main contact. One person, one communicator for, you know, every issue that comes up. And if I don't know the answer to the issue, then I will reach out to, you know, whoever I need to in order to get the answers they need. And that I find that they're a lot more comfortable with just having one person to deal with rather than a whole slew of people calling them constantly, you know, to bug them. So that's one, you know, it's kind of one part of my story. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is a therapist client that I have, and I like to highlight him because so with you know, any medical field, there's always the issue of receiving copays. And the client says, you know, I really rely on the copays because, you know, the insurance is contracted through him and he only gets so much. And then, you know, the copays are, he collects them after the fact. He doesn't collect them up front because he said, surprisingly, clients don't know what their copays are usually. And so we get the, you know, she gets the check from the insurance company and then what's called an explanation of benefits. And then I look and I see what their copay is. And I started doing their invoicing when they were doing it themselves before. And what I did was added a second line because before they would just put one line for the full charge. And then whatever the insurance company paid, they put it against and then just tell the client, this is your, you know, remaining that's due. But what I started to do was actually doing a second line of invoice and put copay. And then the first line is insurance portion paid. And so clients actually now know, oh, this is actually my copay. Okay. You know, so it's kind of an education moment again, right? So educates his clients and then he knows what the copays are. And then I created an Excel sheet. Again, I love Excel. I'm a nerd that way. And did a not pivot table, what do you anyways, a table. Let me just call it this. My brain's not working today. And basically, oh yes, if formulas. There we go. And so basically it adds up everything. I pull the AR for each client he has, all the payments and everything else, and then what co-pays haven't been paid, and then what insurance hasn't been paid. So that way, if he sees there's a high insurance amount, he can go, and I have the dates listed individually as far as when the clients were seen. And then if he sees one that are old, he'll go and call the insurance company, or, you know, I'll go in and look at the platform that they have and kind of figure out, okay, why isn't the insurance paying? You know, so it's kind of a good way for him to stay on top of things. And he communicates with me maybe like 3 times a week. So he's a good client that is on retainer, right? Because I'll put like a monthly retainer and I'll say, okay, you can message me anytime and everything else. You know, and then this is monthly. Now, what I do though is if it starts to increase my time, then I have a conversation with them afterwards and say, okay, well, yeah. First, I always say, how are you doing? You know, how are you feeling with the services? Is there anything that, you know, you want more of, less of, and, you know, everything else? Then I go into the conversation of, okay, well, so far it's taken me probably an extra hour more per week because of the way you want things, or, you know, with the communication and everything else. But most clients are very receptive as long as you prove to them the necessity for it. So that's one of the things that I take pride in, because I don't like to, I myself don't like to be charged, overly charged for something that I don't need, you know, or that I don't want. So I try to provide the same service to, you know, my clients. And so that's why I tell them a lot of times, you know, when I do them with the retainer, I will list all the services that I provide so that everybody knows we're on the same page. And then if it goes outside those lines, then you can say, well, it wasn't on the contract, but I can do it. We just have to add it, in the end. So that's the therapist. And another thing that I like to do is anything that has to do with inventory. I actually have fun with it in a weird way. So I'm a nerd. But I'm happy to say I'm a happy nerd. So, but the inventory piece, a lot of times people don't realize how important inventory is. The retail client that I had, it's like, when I see negative quantities or anything else, and I'm like, how is it a negative quantity? And because you can't sell something that you're zero at, right? And so a lot of times I'll have to pull a report and say, okay, can you fix these? So they actually have to go in and fix it, but I'll just point it out, and then they do an inventory count. Some will do once a month, some will do once a year, depending on, how busy they are and stuff like that. But I'm trying to think what else that I can talk about. I think that, that's just the majority of it.
You can open up for questions now.
Yeah. No questions.
All right, let's hit her up with some questions. Anybody?
So Rosie, the progression of TAP services, which is remarkable. How does that extend into the future? Where do you see TAP services in 5 and 10 years, or 3 and 5 years? I mean, is there a big plan?
I would say so. My husband the other day, it was kind of funny. It was just a couple weeks ago. He said this. He's like, "Can you get 60 more clients so that I can quit my job?" So I said, I know. I'm like, I'm trying, But yeah, I mean, our goal essentially is to be like an accounting firm where we actually can hire employees and, as Brian knows, I'm peaking in the brain, take over the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping to reach that in the next 3 to 5 years, actually.
Great.
Is to have my husband, join the company full time. So
and do you have this written down as a business plan? Do you have a
I should.
kind of,
I should, but I don't right now.
He's calling you out very professionally.
Yeah.
Rosie, what's your best referral source right now?
CPAs actually.
Okay.
CPAs has given me some, good referrals, and I would say financial advisors too. Like a good financial advisor will actually ask businesses, if they have like a good bookkeeper and stuff like that. So, I know that the financial advisor in Olympia, she gave me one lead. So, it's interesting is that her firm is actually a CPA firm too. So they do both financial advising and CPA, but she represents financial advising. And she knew a banker thought she was a CPA, reached out to her, and she says, "No, I'm not a CPA, but I know someone that can help you." So she gave me the information, which is really cool.
I was actually going to ask about banks also to find out, especially since you moved in the last year. Have you connected with any number of banks, given them your information? Because any of those business bankers behind the glass or whatever, they're always looking to push resources like you to their clients.
Yeah, I tried inviting some to the Olympia PNA, but I haven't seen any pop up yet. So
yeah, they're kind of an always moving target, but
yeah,
I would think that if you could develop relationships with a few of them, PNA, right, they could become a valuable source, because just because they have someone's money, especially from a business perspective, doesn't mean that that client knows what the heck they're doing with that money, right? Good stuff. I was going to ask kind of a follow-up on what Mike said, which is simply at what point, Rosie, will you have reached your max, right? You don't have right now. And I love the fact that you have a friend in El Salvador. She's become a friend that you're outsourcing for some of the easier things, for lack of better words, right? At what point will you need to actually expand and tell your husband to shush up and come work for you, and then he can go get 60 clients? You know, I mean, you need to get to that point.
So you're asking like, what's my maximum?
Yeah, I mean, you yourself every day hitting.
Oh, just me. Oh, okay.
Folks, and or your equivalent team right now. But when are you going to expand?
Probably when I hit the range of like, I think even like 15 to 20 clients. Okay. Because last time when I did the bookkeeping, I had 17 when I did the old-fashioned Eagle Rose bookkeeping. Yeah. So, and that's when I was working my butt off, like, every single day, and then, all that stuff. And that's where I learned, okay, I tapped out. So I'm not going to do that again. Once it gets to that, I will outsource, and I raise my prices so that I can outsource and get help and continue to grow. So
let's just make sure that tap services is never associated with the term tapped out ever. Okay. So
okay.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because the amount of care you put into every client,
right,
from speaking with you on any number of occasions, that made me wonder if it's pretty much at that 20 or less sweet spot. And it sounds like that's where it is, right? Okay, good. And knowing that, by the way, is just as important as Mike's comment of, do you have that business plan in writing? Do you have that goal in writing? Because if you know you're at that 20, and Tom, Dick, or Jane in that list, they're not getting as much love as they used to, that's an at-risk customer potentially, right? And I don't think that's the way you work. I think you take care of everybody full bore. So awesome. Cool.
And Rosie, is that the secret sauce for you? Is you alluded to that, the customer service,
yeah, because when you start losing that, like, I've worked for enough accounting firms that people just they just feel like they're not cared for anymore.
So that's an interesting question I had. How do accounting firms lose customers?
There's two major things that I see. Pricing, if they keep raising their prices, and two, too much communication or lack of communication.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, like this one, when I worked for the previous company, my husband still works there, but I can't mention names or anything else, but it was a smaller company, and number one, the client complained that there was too many people on the call. Like, she's just like, why in the world are there this many people involved? Like, and she was small compared to all the other clients that they had. So I just feel like if you can meet the customer as far as what they need. Now, if a customer came to me and they need more than one person involved, okay, then I will get another person involved. But most of the time, they like it personable, because they just want, they kind of want hand holding. Even the big companies, I would say, like the hand holding. I have one that's a dealership, that sells cars. So, I mean, he makes a lot of money, travels, and, all this other stuff. But I'm his main point of contact. So when I have questions, I send him all the questions, was this travel business related or personal, or, was this grocery store run for supplies at the office, or was it personal, stuff like that. And he likes it that way, because I'll text him the question, text me back, so it's very streamlined.
That's awesome.
That's very interesting. Single point of or main point of contact.
Yeah.
Okay, Rosie, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen really quickly now, and let's go ahead and do the speech breakout. All of you know this is where we dive deeper into her presentation. It's actually great for Rosie because she gets to throw her feet up on the chair, snuggle her cats, and quite honestly, she'll realize real quickly if we were paying attention or not, because we get to answer these questions and, like I said, dive a little deeper. Target market, let's discuss that. What people or businesses would need Rosie's services?
Anybody with inventory or clients.
Yeah.
People who want financial help.
Small and medium-sized businesses, Rosie, or would you say any business?
I would say any business, because I've worked with larger companies as well. So.
Perfect.
E-commerce. I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Because of how Rosie takes care of folks, I often think about new businesses that want to start off right, have a team from the get-go, and she can educate and help them grow, right, and expand and run their business and not be run by their business. That's always been key in my brain. Anyone else under target market? Okay. Key conversations, what triggers a referral? What's going to make us say, oh, wait, I know someone who can take care of you? Or what comments should members be out there, us out there, leaving, tagging, trying to connect Rosie to where?
Well, the business owners that I've spoken to over the past years, when they start saying things like, I hate being a business owner, what they usually mean is they're hating, the things like cash flow issues or not being able to do what they want or being thwarted in their dreams because of the details. They didn't get into business to run the numbers. They got into business to do something else entirely.
Yeah.
So the dissatisfied business owners.
I think that also plays along when people are talking on social media or the occasional video where we're witnessing someone who's unhappy with their business. And this is a very uneducated guess, but I would say quite often it's because they don't know what's coming and going out. And they don't have that side of control. And I would automatically think to refer someone like Rosie because she can kindly educate, not browbeat, because she have that body from the standpoint of so I always think of someone that really needs to kind of take a step back and admire their work and audit what's going on, find out what's going on that's in need of assistance that she can help with, or even from the resources perspective. She's kind of a plethora of that as well. So anything else?
I think that there's probably an application here for businesses in some sort of transition, and I've worked for a couple of businesses where the guy or gal who started the business recognizes they can no longer run the business. So they want to transition their role, which usually means that they are looking for help in things like accounting and bookkeeping.
Okay. Thank you for that. Beneficial syndications. I lean on Marcel with this part. I just because I know she's the expert and I often flounder. Do you have any input here, Marcel, you'd care to share first?
Well, in syndications, it's really just other places to share video or digital content. And I was actually going to say for some feedback for Rosie, if you don't have any visuals, you can always walk us through your website, right? This is being recorded to the internet, and the internet craves visuals. So my encouragement for you is to always have something visual to show. Like I love the storytelling and just kind of talking us through what you value. I think it is important to know your values. But from this is a recorded presentation, I just know that the internet does not like unentertaining. Like we like speed, we like fast, we like something to look at to focus us. And I think it would be great. Like I love just another syndication idea, like the story of I think it was the therapist who's like co-pays, and like that would make a great reel. Like get on camera and tell that, like then I could syndicate that and share it, talking about like, see people, like, because they need to know, right? The typical therapist has no idea, the typical business person. So you've got this micro content that's great. I just want us to pull it out of you in a way that we can syndicate it and share it because it's important. And granted, we have this recording, which would be great, but so there was like 3 or 4 pieces of content I saw in your presentation that could be a great reel or a quick 50-second thing for Facebook. So I want to challenge you to rewatch this and think about the segments that could become isolated, 90-second reels, or maybe there's a visual that you use to do the show and tell of it, because it's important information. And I think so many people are under informed because there's not a lot of teachers in the marketplace, and I want to help raise you up so I can share all your content to my clients who are like, what is this again? But I love the stories and I really like the phrase. So I wrote down, I started playing with it, but like I put in parentheses the data, and it started working, because I think that idea of you've just got to get in there and kind of work with it, and you do that, like, and you enjoy that. And then you said you were a happy nerd. Like Rosie enjoys working on inventory and is a happy nerd. I was like, yes, way to own it, girl. Like I love that about you. So again, you're very marketable. We just gotta, get it in the right format, I think.
Yeah.
I love it. Great feedback, Marcel. That sort of blends itself into the kudos portion as well. So thank you. Yeah, I agree with everything she's saying. Rosie, you have so many stories in you, whether it was your previous company to the experiences in being an employee with someone else hovering over you, to then how you formed TAP once again. I think that could be a lot of very marketable 90-second shorts, right? That you just start doing. And my only ask is pick a non-blurry background wherever you are, sitting in a park, etc., with just a non-distracting background, or against a wall that's just flat and boring, whatever. But either way, you are a storyteller. And I say that because if anyone's ever had a meeting with you that's supposed to be a half hour and a half later, we're finally done, because you're such a brilliant storyteller. So embrace that. Okay, next section, other categories. And if you'll permit me, everybody, I'm going to take off the big screen just because it frustrates me. I'd much rather see everybody here as often as possible. So other businesses that we can bring in to DigitalPNA that will help her reach get even bigger and better. I do think a CPA would be beneficial, because she's mentioned she does play well with them in the proverbial sandbox. Any other business categories that we can think of that we can invite?
Bankers?
Yeah. Financial analysts.
Yeah. A business coach. I don't think there's any reason why a business coach in here as well, because they often either simply directly say, I ain't touching that, I'm referring you to a bookkeeper or CPA, right? Or they can do exercises with that circle around money. And frankly, a business coach, I think, would love to, or benefit highly from working with Marcel from her financial joy perspective, and then tie in Rosie as well. There could be a really neat multiple layers of synchronicity there. Anyone else we can think of?
Business law, like a business contracts lawyer, because they're doing the documentation of that big vision for this big business that wants to go raise 200 grand to get started or whatever. They're going to need you. Like, so to me, those people would have referrals for you every month. I would think, because they're looking at new business plans every month.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I think going back to both Brian and Marcel's comments about how great your presentation style is because of you being you, Rosie. Somebody that a tool, somebody that has the ability to help you get that information out, like a videographer. That can be the conduit to doing what you just did right now, but turning it into something that can easily be visually presented.
Very true. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your input there. Rosie, did we miss any that you've been thinking about lately, or you're just dying to throw out there into the ether to see what sticks?
You mean as far as
any other business categories that you feel would be valuable to have in the group?
Like I think I listed.
Okay.
The two bigs are the CPAs and the bankers. So.
Okay. Fantastic. Excellent. All right. We're going to go ahead and go into referrals and testimonials. If you have anything, we'll go around the 16:9 room here. If you have one, feel free to speak freely or forever hold your pieces.
I'm trying to get a handle here at the Puget Sound Business Journal on how we can use good people like you, Brian, in terms of events, and you, Marcel, in terms of data presentation, and you, Rosie, perhaps in terms of we're working with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. I know that's not what you I know you don't want to exclude big businesses, but small and medium-sized businesses that really don't know their numbers. So not a referral per se, but getting my arms around kind of how to get more visibility for you all in my new world.
In a beautiful world that is, Mike.
Well, it is it's there. I just need to figure out how to get there.
Yeah. Well, and we've got to equip you with the right things too to tee up those conversations. My referral and or win for Karen is I literally wrote an entire publication about her in my newsletter, and I wanted to like praise her here and have her squeal, but I'm just gonna pretend I'm her and be like giddy. No, anyways, but that is something, if you guys would share, it would help her, right? So we're trying to grow her business, and there's a lot of people that don't want a financial advisor, but I'm trying to make it kind of come alive in that presentation, that somebody like a creative person might be like, oh, I'll talk to Karen. Karen can help me with this. Like, because again, a lot of your friends, like I would almost challenge you, go ask 10 people today, do you have a financial advisor that you really respect and work well with? And if they don't say yes, oh my goodness, what is that? That's fun. I'm gonna screenshot that. Hang on. That's really fun. Everybody smile. Anyway, I've lost my point, but that think of this Dreamosity publication as a virtual business card to tee up Karen as a great client for someone, right? Like it can also help. There's also a DigitalPNA link in there. Anyway, so I'm trying to help grow her business right now with my June issue.
I love it. Yeah, Mike just did his job. This was his doodles, and once again, he made us look utterly terrifying.
I love it.
It's the Jules Pfeiffer style of drawing.
It's so wonderful, and you know how we all have like 5 moods. Like there's some article out there like the 5 moods of the that is a mood of Marcel that I hope I never see in real life.
She looks happy. I love it. I like that Rose's got little earbuds on her little.
Oh, look at that. The camera just wigged out. It was still doing it.
Oh, Mike, do you want a like part-time job as an illustrator?
No.
I'm looking for some creative talent for my publication.
So
that's wonderful.
I'll just share that Mara is making the rounds in other chapters, and she's connecting with folks. She's working on or has already earned a number of opportunities potentially from her Bothell chapter, her home chapter, and it helps that that's on Zoom for her as well. So I just want to always encourage people, especially even Rosie, from a virtual perspective. There's 3 chapters, I guess us included, 2 other chapters that meet virtually. Bothell still doesn't have someone that does what you do, right? I'm still trying to get you to get your husband in that one, even just for the remainder of the year, right? Because it's virtual, you don't have to wear pants. I just want to give a huge kudo to Marcel, honestly, and this wasn't paid for, although I might ask her to buy me lunch or something. So your publications are so freaking beautiful, and I'm envious as a graphic designer who's always had wishes to be able to do stuff like that on a regular basis. Myself, I don't have the patience. I really don't. And you are creating such beautiful pieces of art within these publications, and you're focusing on people. The hardest thing when you're creating something is to not make it about you, even though there's the side CTA of wanting business to come from it. But you're focusing on the people. And just like you told Michael in the beginning of this presentation, of this meeting today, that each of these issues takes like the color palette and or the theme, it's almost a themosity of your clients, and you're working it into it It's just brilliant. And I've loved being able to just thumb through these digitally after the fact. And I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
You're creating some incredible stuff. And if you're not also spending the miserable amount of fundage it is to get in there from the Instagram handle perspective, I encourage you to do it.
Oh yeah.
So
$50 for the year.
50 for the year. That's
Well, and thank you for that. But it's weird because it's like it's a newsletter, but it is a publication. So I'm trying to find like it's not supposed to be all the I voice, but I'm like I have a lot to say. Like these are my thoughts, and I'm regurgitating them through the lens of these remarkable people. And so I hope that's okay. But I do love feedback as I navigate kind of a newer type of content because
it is a publication. It is by far a newsletter is 5-6 pages max.
yeah, have fun with the newsletter and let's do it this way.
And yes, it's also about you, but you're doing that in tidbits, hence my saying you're doing it in stride. You're implementing that in pieces, which is brilliant, right? I love it. So great job. Absolutely great job. Okay.
Wait, I was trying to track referrals. Mike, I want to do a one-to-one with you about with your bigger publication. Like I know you guys have a much larger a lot of things, and I want to figure out how we can play in the sandbox and do something cool, you know.
Yes, I'd like that as well. As well, I'd like to do a one-to-one with you, Rosie, and of course with you, Brian, too, and Karen. And I've had a really great one-to-one recently with Mara.
Good.
And that's going to lead to a meeting that will include our publisher and Mara. So that's exciting. Looking forward to that.
Her backup care program is insanely cool. So that's phenomenal. She's also received a number of referrals from when she was the keynote speaker at the Mill Creek Chamber 3 weeks. I mean, like she's still getting windfall from that, which is just awesome. Speaking of awesome, this is our revised speaker schedule. I want to bring this to your attention because Karen wasn't able. Oh, and by the way, kudos to Rosie for stepping up. I didn't make this public initially, but Karen couldn't today. So a few days ago, I requested Rosie to see if she could step up, and she did. So again, thank you, Rosie. I appreciate that. But this is what we're looking at for the meetings, for the speaker rotation. I'll be in there later. I'm not as I've done my thing a few weeks back. And like it says there in big red type, if you're having trouble thinking about what to speak about, let's get some more people in here to increase that rotation so you have more time. That would be marvelous. We ask for a number of different categories every single week, and I've done a number of different forms of advertising and marketing. Nothing works better than an actual invitation and an ask. Speaking of which, Amy did text me. She's from Silver Age Care. She was supposed to be here today. She's going to have to be at the 19th because she did have a customer issue. So
I'm almost up on the third there. Do you guys have any topic requests or things that you'd like me to present to train you to be able to know how to talk about Dreamosity, you know, effectively? I'm open, Brian.
Results.
Yeah, okay.
I want to hear results. I want what hot mess that person was in to begin with, what they were horrible at, whatever, you know, and I want to hear. Actually, I also want because I know about it. I want to show. I want you to show us what your intake process is. You have processes which are hell.
Yeah.
You to show that off.
Okay.
Let folks know, like on a Rosie level, how much you care about the customer before before they're even your customer. You profile the snot out of them. You know,
I know a lot about a lot of people.
You know exactly and exactly how you can take care of them. You often do the 3 options, the rule of 3 in sales, right? Good, better, best. And you always land that better or the best because no one wants good. And just then what you did for them. Take a year, take 6 months, even if it's a little bit of trickle, right? Sometimes I know you've had a few that are, you know, not super impressive, but they love you because you're getting them to do even the basics. So maybe 1 or 2 anecdotal stories that really share how amazing you are with your clients.
So let me ask though, are these stories you want to tell to then help sell me, or are they just things you want to know to help build up my credibility?
Well, Marcella, it's going to be recorded, so it'll be on video. We can share it out and help syndicate you. Both, okay?
Because I'm trying to figure out like what do people need to introduce people to Dreamosity? Like what's missing? Because I'm doing really important work in the world and I feel like I should be getting referrals every month.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
I think
and I'd like to.
I would love a 30-second elevator speech.
Okay.
Or versions thereof that are informed by or can be extended into results, can be extended into befores and afters. All of those I think are great. But yeah, I hear you. I'd love to be well equipped to say to anybody in a very short period of time, have you heard about Dreamosity? Marcel will be able to X.
Yeah. Thank you for that feedback. That'll help me prepare.
Yep. Okay. I think this is primarily because we're short on members, but we're almost at the end just as far as the slides. I want to bring up one slide here really quickly. Can't help it. We do have another event. We just had a great event last night, which was unexpected because it was a fundraiser, different format, but it was really fun. We packed the house and raised some money for an amazing fundraiser. An amazing nonprofit. But this is our regular one, so that is going to be next Friday, not this Friday. All of us, except for Rosie, Sniff, are local, but you can drive up for it if you want to. I want to reiterate something that I often forget. If any of you have something going on, or if you're supporting a nonprofit or a fundraiser, get me the information before this slideshow goes live during one of these digital PNA meetings, okay? Get me information. Mike, you might have a special advertising promo. You might have one page to fill, whatever the case is. Send me that information as soon as you can prior to the digital PNA meeting that we're all doing here. And let's make sure that we get that here, because then we make that available in the chat window. We have all the information, etc., etc. So that's happening. I will put that info in the chat window as well. And does anybody have anything else, speaking of which, from the standpoint of any announcements that we can talk about quickly?
Business Journal has events coming up usually about once every couple of weeks, thematic, and I put a calendar in there that covers the ones coming up in the next couple of weeks to a couple months. But there are excellent opportunities for networking and learning.
Awesome. And I can see you drop that in the chat window. Thank you. Yep. Does anyone else have anything to share?
I'm working on this the minutes from today to get out to y'all. So check it out. And if you ever want, again, specific things, like we don't need to have just a list of information, but like, do you need the website, or I don't know, if I can make this better, I'm open to feedback, because I want them to be useful for everybody.
Well, actually, your notes have been fantastic. I want to share some quick news, if I may. You guys ready for a quick announcement that no one else knows? It's going to be all you guys. Check this out. Already, another chapter. We just found a home.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. It took almost 6 months of hunting to find a home for Marysville, and there's 3 people, soon to be 4, and I've already been told that there's a chance of about 3 or 4 membership submissions coming in from people that are chamber members. Marcel and I are both chamber members at the Marysville Tulip Chamber, as well as in Mill Creek, and we're literally going to be meeting at their office. And this is, I didn't know it was this big. I thought it just held like maybe 8 people, but it's actually a huge room. And this is the table set up. And I'm just kind of hoping that we can suddenly need more chairs really quickly, because that's cool. It's a neat space. So you guys are the first to know that news. And I'm just looking forward to, holy crap. Oh, and I'm going to need help because that means we're going to have, will that be 12 or 13? That'll be the 12th chapter in the Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Which
wow.
Yeah, so I will take over the world. That's my 5-year plan, Michael. I will take over the world.
Hey, Mike, I have a community for you to feature.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what?
PNA.
Absolutely. It's a really good point.
Those BNIs and LaTips, and I take the leads and all that stuff. I want them all to go away.
Oh. Can I give a kudo about PNA? Actually, yeah. So at the Olympia PNA that I started, I've had several people state how when I showed up at the first meeting with all those flyers that you created, and they were just like, "Oh, BNI, that they didn't even do that." You know, they're like, we had no idea what was like at BNI, what it was about. You know, they knew what it was about, but like it wasn't transparent, right? And so the fact that I had these flyers and I handed to them, and then they wanted a stack so they could hand it out, and
I love that.
Yeah, and then the fees themselves, they're just like, wow, like BNI is, I think they said like $800 now a year.
Yeah, there it averages $1,100 a year because most BNI chapters have anywhere from a $25 to $40 monthly fee.
Right.
Well as their dues. So that's wonderful feedback. Rosie, that makes me so happy. That's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry BNI, stealing a lot of members, it seems like, from them right now.
The majority of the people that are part of this incoming Marysville chapter and potential members have all quit local BNI chapters in the last 2 months.
Well, and it's a great reminder that all of us have to poll our customers. Are they happy? Are they thankful? Would they refer us? Because obviously all these people are kind of burned from that community and they love this one, right? So we just got to check in on people before they get too,
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently that company did not, and Brian will always do that with PNA.
Think the sound again that they might be too what?
Cats. Claws.
All right. I'm gonna need to do one of two things: either hand the meeting over to Marcel because I actually need to go pick up my children, or if we are ready, we're technically done with the meeting. We're just early.
We can be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get these minutes out and we can all go have a great day and talk about Rosie and why they should all go to TAP Services and get a strong and successful customer focused bookkeeper.
And just one more time for record. Okay, perfect.
And Brian, when you get back, maybe you can give me a call. I got the email from Elizabeth about next Wednesday.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate
Mike, I love this doodle.
Please, no.
Thank you. I do.
We're burned.
It's gonna get to my Instagram. You just wait. All right. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everybody.
So there we go. All right. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.